Defense Force on guard. Leave for all members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force has been canceled effective immediately, except for those on secondment, sick leave or quarantine, special leave, approved international study leave, or pre-retirement leave. A press release issued from the Defense Force today noted that personnel attached to the various outposts, inclusive of the Harbor Patrol Unit, Port Security, Air Wing Unit, and the Military Police Force Protection Unit, are to report to their respective places of duty or their approved muster points. Now, Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Commodore Raymond King, spoke with us early this afternoon.
Our leave cancellation policy is done to ensure our preparedness in terms of disaster response once a system has the potential to or may affect any of our islands throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Members are closed up so we can ensure their state of readiness, and additionally, the readiness of our vessels in the need we need to respond following any impact.
The National Emergency Management Agency will host a press conference at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon at NEMA's headquarters, Gladstone Road. The press conference will provide an update on the low-pressure area that is expected to develop into a subtropical or tropical storm. Other news for you this evening: Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis and his technical delegation arrived safely in Egypt yesterday for the much-anticipated COP27 United Nations Climate Change Conference, where leaders and experts will gather to commit and discuss reducing the emissions of causing climate change and negotiate the financing of climate change-related debt adaptation and mitigation. Climate change remains one of the biggest threats to the Bahamas. In fact, Prime Minister Davis has said that climate justice is the greatest fight of our time, and he continues to be an advocate for urgent action to the crisis. Climate change-related events has caused the Bahamas more than $4 billion over the last 6 years, resulting in an increasing national debt. In a meeting with the International Monetary Fund, Director of the IMF, Christina Georgieva, provided a resolution to the issue.
We have made one step in that direction by creating first ever long-term concessional financing capacity at the IMF, exactly to support countries that are vulnerable to climate shocks. We currently have $40 billion available to our members for 20 years, maturity 10.5 years, grace period. And it is available not just to low-income countries, it is available to vulnerable middle-income countries like the Bahamas.
Now, Prime Minister Davis was encouraged by the IMF's initiative and appreciative of Cristaline's support for the Bahamas.
I'm very appreciative of the sensitivity that the IMF is showing to the challenges that small and developing states like ours have, particularly with this existential threat that's upon us. And I'm grateful that she is going to look into how assist us in the monetization of our carbon credits as a new asset class. And I'm so delighted that we were able to have this meeting this afternoon to share our views, concerns, and the way forward on these things. The one thing that comes out of this meeting, neither of us are going to give up.
The country's Minister of National Security reiterating his government's commitment to reforming the prison system. Addressing officers at the Department of Correctional Services annual church service at Faith United Missionary Baptist Church, Blue Hill Road, Sunday, the Honorable Wayne Monroe outlined a number of initiatives which he says will advance the Fox Hill facility.
We've had a assessment by the American Correctional Association, which will point out to us little shortcomings we may have that we have to correct. We're seeking to improve the professional services available to inmates and staff, psychiatric, psychological, nutrition services. And we are geared up to build a new correctional facility that will improve the living conditions and the working conditions for the correctional officers.
Monroe says a number of training and promotional opportunities also underway for correctional officers. On the occasion of the Bahamas Department of Corrections' 70th Platinum Jubilee, Monroe applauding officers for their work in the crime fight.
It's a vital one to society. They deal with the incarcerated, those who may be innocent who are remanded, those who are guilty who are remanded or serving sentences, and their job is to make sure that they come out better than they go in. There are a number of improvements that we are set to do now, and we want to remind them of those and just encourage them to keep up the good work.
Outstanding inequities and deficiencies in the public service soon to be addressed. Minister of State for the Public Service, Honorable Pia Glover Roll, assuring public servants that outstanding matters will be resolved the week of festivities in observance of Public Service Week ended today.
We have made a tremendous dent in a lot of the long-standing matters, but we're continuing to work every day to ensure that I want to give a timeline as by the end of 2023, we can say that we've ameliorated all of the long-standing matters. There will always be issues to address, but if we can at least bring ourselves current in the public service so persons can feel that they're moving forward on level ground, that's what the goal is.
Still to come in the weekend edition, a number of volunteers coming together to worship. That and more after the break.
Welcome to the all-new CBS Pro Store. We'll be introducing various products such as plywood, sheetrock, metal stud, and a whole array of bulk construction products. So you can expect the same high level of service that you have been receiving at CBS Bahamas. We originally opened the store in 1980 as our retail location. Hearing from our customers that they wanted us to cater more to contractors, we decided to open the CBS Pro Store here at Robinson Road. So come by and visit us at CBS Pro Store on Robinson Road, where we can help you build beautiful.
A greenhouse was recently donated to C.R. Walker Senior High School by RF Bank and Trust. The donation is expected to assist the school with establishing the Project Greenhouse Initiative, which will introduce students to farming tools, techniques, and technology. Miss Jonette Ferguson Morris, the school's Teacher of the Year, and Miss Earlene Russell, the school's Family and Consumer Science teacher, said the Project Greenhouse Initiative will prepare students to have a sustainable future.
The students are excited, and that is what matters most. We are preparing our 21st graduates here at C.R. Walker to have a sustainable future.
This project started with our project-based learning last year about food sustainability, because we are introducing farm to table. And with that, the students will be able to grow various crops that can be used within practicals and through sales at the school.
Head of Marketing at RF Bank and Trust, Rachel Alahar, said this donation is the first of many philanthropic work by the bank.
Education was identified as one of the pillars for the 2022 calendar year, and so we were really looking at what schools or what partners we could make that could help make the most impact in the community. The greenhouse was one of the ones that was a little bit more time sensitive, given the things that they were trying to accomplish in the calendar year, in their educational year. So we decided to start off with that, but we do hope it'll be a long-term partnership, so we're hoping to do more projects with them in the coming year.
For Ed Talk, I'm Jonalie McIntosh. This portion of the news was brought to you by Sun Oil Limited Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
The Ministry of Health's latest dashboard showing 3 COVID-19 cases reported in country. All of the new infections here in the capital. 2 males and female make up the latest count. Total COVID cases stand at 37,419. There are 16 persons in hospital, all listed as moderately ill. There are 75 active cases. The COVID death toll remains at 833. Over 200,000 RT-PCR tests have been completed. Well, November is being proclaimed by Prime Minister as National Volunteer Month. And to launch the month on a high note, Governor General, His Excellency Sir Cornelius Smith, and members of the National Volunteer Committee worshipped at St. Agnes Anglican Church this morning. Now, some of the highlights of the month will include a National Volunteer Day on November 19th and a national award ceremony to recognize a number of volunteers for their extraordinary service to nation building on November 22nd. The Governor General spoke about the critical role volunteers play in their communities.
Its mission is to identify, to encourage, and to celebrate those individuals and civic, religious, charitable organizations, associations, clubs and groups, and individuals who contribute to a better Bahamas through volunteering their time, talents, resources, and their efforts to assist others without the expectation of any reward.
Rector Archdeacon Keith Cartwright, who is also an active member of the National Committee, spoke about the country's changing cultural landscape.
Many years ago, we didn't have a need for a Ministry of Social Services, you know. It only came about recently, and that's because we faltered as a Bahamian people to give and to volunteer and to help the less fortunate and those who are in trouble. And if we went back to that, if we reverted back to that, just think of how much millions of dollars can be saved because we share with each other, we care. And the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us that it's essential to do just that. The government can't do everything on its own. We are God's children. We must respond to God's love by helping and doing our service. And don't look for any reward. If something comes in as a reward, well, we give God the glory, not ourselves. And so that is what the essence of volunteerism is all about.
Caribbean Women in Leadership Organization hosting a series of lectures on the topic of good governance. One of last night's speakers, Bahamas Harvest Church pastor Mario Moxie, speaking on the topic, citizenship participation. Moxie says a key component in citizen participation is our convictions. He elaborated on concerning behaviors in our nation.
I've discovered in our country that people hold political party loyalty over moral convictions. And that's a major issue, because whenever we take a position like that, it doesn't matter what the party does, I'm going to support the party. Because if I say anything, it's going to seem like I'm not supporting the party. Or worst case scenario, I've jumped the line, I've gone over to the other side. So it makes it difficult for persons, even within their own party, to say something. And that ought not be. It is better to be a great citizen as opposed to be a great political party member.
Moxie says oftentimes the church's unyielding position will clash with that of the secular world and government.
In an organization where there's women, the church holds a different position by and large, not every denomination, but generally speaking, the church holds a different position than what's being pushed forward. Does that mean that we don't like women? That's crazy. But there are always reasons why. But we don't ever get to discuss those reasons. And what we oftentimes get when we listen to the news are sound bites. But the sound bite don't truly do our convictions justice.
A local multi-million-dollar resort giving back to the community in a big way. Yesterday, a volunteer team from the Atlantis resort were at the Adastra Gardens site for its Community Day outreach initiative. LaDon Davis has more.
The signage, benches, and walls with flamboyantly colorful designs around the Adastra Gardens grounds is a work of art for the more than 100 volunteers of the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort. Manager of guest activities, Erica Lightbourne, is one of the volunteers.
We're recreating this mural that we have right here, and I'm so excited because we have persons from different departments that are coming here to lend their talents and of their time, so it's such a humbling experience. I know I used to come to Adastra Gardens years ago, so to come back here is lovely.
Adastra's animal manager, Andrew Higley, says about $75,000 to $100,000 was pumped into the scope of work carried out so far.
Revamping the flamingos' habitat, that was one of the main focus. We just wanted to try to recreate some of the natural environment, some of the natural triggers that they need to encourage breeding. So that was top priority. Another one was increasing the quality of the water that runs throughout the entire lagoon. We have about 3 to 4 ponds, so right now we're trying to increase the water quality. There's a lot of sediment buildup. There's a lot of muck and just a lot of organic debris that falls into the pond, so it tends to just settle. So we're trying to solve that problem as well. So they're currently installing aerators now. Of course, we're a garden. Adastra started off as a garden back in the 1930s. So, I mean, obviously, just to get the trees under control, some of them have been here from the start.
Vice President of Public Relations and Special Projects, Vienna Gardner, talked about why Adastra was the chosen site for their community service project.
We knew we wanted to do a really big initiative for our Community Services Day, and we thought about, how could Atlantis make a really meaningful impact to something in the community that affects everybody. We were all kids at one point, and we came through Adastra Gardens. Almost everybody came through Adastra Gardens, and we watched the flamingos, and we had the snake around our necks, even though we wouldn't do that now as an adult, but we all have some affinity to Adastra Gardens, so we thought if we did this, it could be something that everybody enjoys.
For all parties involved in this community project, ongoing construction work and the beautification of the once popular Adastra Gardens is a fresh start to attracting more visitors to the family-friendly environment. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm LaDawn Davis.
Well, hats off to all the volunteers. As we head to the break, we'd like to thank all of our viewers watching us live on our social media platforms. And just in case you missed the news, be sure to head there to catch up. Back after this.
NBA League Pass is the coolest way to watch the hottest game there is. When threes rain down and superstars heat up. When clutch jumpers splash and your team is fire. You'll be there for up to 40 games a week, any way you want to watch. NBA League Pass. Order now.
Good to grow. Keeping you in the know. Keeping you in the know. God, that's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow. It's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow.
Soil, chickens, and mushrooms were all in the mix when Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Family Island Affairs, the Honorable Clay Sweeting, announced to the media a grant to encourage local farmers to adapt climate-resilient technology. The minister, along with members of the ministry and representatives from the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, introduced the initial recipients of this grant, who had previously applied to the Sustainable Food Growth Grant.
These individuals recognize the government's vision to use innovation to reduce operational costs while increasing productivity. It should be noted that these applicants, through the partnership with SBDC Access Accelerator, will be receiving funding from a separate grant program that we hope to become an annual program to encourage innovation, encourage technology, and encourage new ways of farming in this country.
Among the initial recipients of the grant are Mother Fungus, producer of local mushrooms, Abaco Big Bird poultry producers, and VNet Agritech soil and nutrient content management. According to Samantha Roll, the interim director of SBDC, this additional funding will help these businesses better ready themselves for climate change while continuing to grow domestic food production.
The inclusion of climate-smart technology in our agriculture and food production practices is a step in the right direction to improve the resilience of our food production systems and support the conservation of our natural resources.
In keeping with the goal of future-proofing the farming industry, Minister Sweeting will be traveling with Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Brave Davis to COP27 to address the impact that climate change is having on agriculture in small island states. For Good to Grow, I'm Giorgio Bain.
The Sports Report is brought to you by Hoop Fest in Paradise, December 16th to the 17th at the Kendall G. Isaacs Gym. The best in U.S. and Bahamian high school basketball. Oh, welcome to your Sunday Sports, everyone. I'm Amajal Knowles, topping sports news. Jet skis hitting the water over at the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort. This has several international riders competing at the P1 Aquacross Championships, the second installment of the event and the first held since 2019. Organizers certainly glad that the event was able to take place after being away for a while due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We're super excited to host the Aquacross World Championships of jet skiing here in Atlantis this weekend. We have over 35 riders from multiple countries across the world who are pretty much coming out here and showcasing their talent on the jet ski. Everything from drag racing to amateur and professional competition. It's super exciting. We've had a great response so far from the residents here and our hotel guests, and it just feels good to host this World Championship here at Atlantis again this year.
And for Spencer, he adds, it certainly was a festive environment.
It's a great atmosphere. I mean, we've got beautiful weather. We have an amazing competition going on with super competitive drivers. But with Atlantis, we always take pride in bringing these events to the next level. So on our end, you can always expect food trucks, entertainment, and a very festive nature here on these grounds, and why people just come and kick back and take in the sport here. So it's a great atmosphere, great weather, and it's just a great time to be at Atlantis.
In news from the association, Buddy Hield's pouring in 25 points to continue his hot start as the Indiana Pacers would defeat the Miami Heat 101-99 on Friday to help propel the Pacers to their fourth win of the season. Through 4 games, Buddy, who has made a career specializing in shooting the three, is 12 for 33 from beyond the arc. He's topped 20 points 4 times and made 25 of his 54 attempts from deep, including going 5 of 12 against Miami for 25 points. Next up for the Heat, a showdown with the New Orleans Pelicans at 7:45 p.m. on Monday. In soccer news, the UB Mingos put their undefeated record on the line this week in the Bahamas Football Association as they would take on the Future Stars. The Mingos came in 4-0, but let the Stars score first. Midfielder Morgan Wood answered with his own goal in the 14th minute to even the game at 1-1. Midfielder Ronaldo Green took the Mingos ahead with a brilliant goal in the 41st minute. The Mingos defense would take over and was able to head into the break still up 2-1. The strong Mingo defense continued in the second half, including some great saves from keeper Josh Dames. The Mingos would hold on to win 2-1 and stay undefeated in the league at 5-0. Assistant coach Adam Miller said the match lived up to expectations.
We expected to win. We expected a few more chances. We had clearly more chances than they did, but we didn't put our chances away in this particular game. I wouldn't say that we expected to be close. What we expected from the opposition was how they played. They're very fast, very dynamic. They play very direct. And so we had to account and adjust for the speed of play that they brought to the game.
Over on the volleyball side, the UB Mingos volleyball team would take on the Strikers in the Providence Volleyball Association. The Mingos would struggle to get started, but gave the veteran Strikers team a run for their money. The Mingos led by as much as 6 points at 13-7. The Strikers fought back, and it came down to deuce. The Mingos team got close again, but lost the first set 25-23. That set took a lot out of the team, as it seems that they weren't able to come back with the same fire as in the first set. Then they would drop the second set 25-8. The Mingos were able to get a bit closer in the third, but still drop that set 25-13 and lose the match in their 3 sets. Head coach Raymond Wilson said the first set loss seriously impacted the team.
That's the danger of playing so hard in the first set. We should have won that set. That set would have made a big difference in the game. The ladies went back into the game and they just was out of it. You know, I don't know if they was broken or whatever situation, but I am very disappointed in how we responded in the last 2 sets. We're a far better team than we displayed those last 2 sets. So it's a hurtful loss for me, and I'm hoping that going forward that the ladies will pick it up.
That's when we look at your sports on this Sunday. A check on weather when we return. The Sports Report was brought to you by Hoop Fest in Paradise, December 16th to the 17th at the Kendall Geologics Gymnasium, the best in U.S. and Bahamian high school basketball.
Shell Unleaded improves your fuel economy, giving increased miles per gallon, allowing you to do more of what you really want. Special additives used in Shell Unleaded improve your engine's efficiency. So go further with Shell Unleaded. Venture out to beaches, Junkanoo, and festivals and bring home memories that will last a lifetime. Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
Time now for a check on tonight's weather forecast. Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean joins us live in studio. Good evening, Basil.
Good evening, Desmond. We are currently under partly cloudy skies. Temperature at 85 degrees. The relative humidity at 66%. We have easterly winds at 20 miles per hour. The barometric pressure 1,013.3 millibars. That is 29.93 inches, and the pressure is rising. Temperatures around the Family Islands this evening: 84 in Marshall, Babaco, Greenville, Key at 83. 83 also in Freeport, Grand Bahama. The Berry Islands at 85. Alice Bimini, 83 degrees. Take you a little further south, Harbor Island, 84. 77 degrees in Rock Sound, Eleuthera. Black Point, Exuma at 80 degrees. 80 also in Kemps Bay, Andros, and Fresh Creek in Central Andros. In Artistan, Cat Island, 78 degrees. Also San Salvador and Arum Key at 78 degrees. Georgetown, Exuma, 1 degree up at 79 degrees. 76 in Ragged Island, Clarence, Long Island, and Crooked Island. Betsy Bay, McWarner, 78. Ackland, 78. Matsutan, Niagara, 79, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 81 degrees. And your boating forecast tonight in the Northwestern Islands: northeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Very rough seas. They're going to be around 5 to 8 feet. So we have an advisory in place for boaters in the northwestern Bahamas tonight. The low tide that will take place at 23 minutes past midnight. In the central and southeastern islands, winds northerly at 15 to 25 knots. Wave heights also at 5 to 8 feet, so the advisories extends into the central and southeastern islands as well. High tide takes place at 6:40 in the morning, with a low tide at 1:04 in the afternoon. That will be on Monday. And for the southeast Bahamas, northwest to north winds 15 to 25 knots, 5 to 8 feet. Advisory continues also for the southeast Bahamas on Monday. And our satellite picture showing a troughing from that low pressure system to the north of Puerto Rico, affecting the Turks and Caicos Islands and Inagua. So they will get pockets of showers tonight through tomorrow. Elsewhere across the Bahamas, high pressure remains in control temporarily, but we do have a tropical system that we expect to impact the northwest and central Bahamas by the middle of this week. Tonight, we are going in for partly cloudy, breezy and warm, a stray shower developing late. Low temperature is just around 76 degrees. And tomorrow, we're looking at partly cloudy conditions once again, with some tropical downpours developing in the afternoon as that system draws near. 84 degrees for your high temperature and extended weather forecast. We will be going downhill weather-wise as of Tuesday. Rain showers becoming widely scattered and heavy at times right through Wednesday and Thursday. It wouldn't be until about Friday before we see the sun and those winds beginning to subside. Temperature-wise, though, because of the very strong winds, the temperature is going to feel quite comfortable during the daytime, keeping you in the mid-80s, and the nighttime temperatures in the mid-70s. Desmond.
Thank you very much. And that will end the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition. We thank you for continuing to make ZNS your #1 news and information network. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. On behalf of the entire team, thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
The following is a message by His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Cornelius H. Smith, Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
My fellow Bahamians and residents, I speak to you today as patron of the Governor General's Volunteer Bahamas organization. This organization is registered under the Non-Profit Organizations Act of 2019. Volunteer Bahamas was formed for the sole purpose of encouraging Bahamians and residents to fully engage voluntarily in assisting and providing meaningful support to fellow citizens who are in need. It is against this background that the month of November has been proclaimed by the Prime Minister as Volunteerism Month, a call to action. It is no secret that the events of the past 36 months, namely the occurrence of Hurricane Dorian and COVID-19, remain etched in the minds of our citizens. And although adversities are nothing new to Bahamians, we are painfully aware that these twin challenges have wreaked havoc among many of our people. Reflecting on the pandemic, our late Majesty Queen Elizabeth described the pandemic as a time of disruption in the life of our country, a disruption that has brought grief to some, financial difficulties to many, and enormous challenges to the daily lives of all. But in spite of these challenges, we are a resilient people. We will not allow temporary negative circumstances to become permanent in our lives. Fellow Bahamians and residents, throughout our archipelago, there are many civic, social, fraternal, religious, corporate, as well as individuals who volunteer their time, talent, and treasures, bringing relief and comfort to others. I therefore wish to thank the many Bahamians and residents who freely go beyond the call of duty to assist the less fortunate. And while we acknowledge that we are doing much, there is still more work to be done. Regrettably, many of these kind deeds go unnoticed. Let me give you an example. On a visit to the Oncology Center at the Princess Margaret Hospital, my attention was drawn to the work of a 9-year-old girl who, seeing a particular need, volunteered to provide books for young people during their treatment. Because of her kind-heartedness, a fully stocked library of children's books are now available at that institution. She did this with a clear appreciation of what it means to help others. I congratulate her for taking such a compassionate step. For all of us, this is a perfect example of what volunteerism is all about. Saturday, 19 November, is declared National Volunteerism Day, which provides a unique opportunity for civic, charitable, religious, fraternal, and social organizations to continue the laudable work they are doing and to identify a particular charitable activity in which to participate on that date. Your participation in a meaningful activity will certainly show that we are a nation who genuinely care for others. I am particularly excited that it is the intention of the committee to recognize citizens from throughout the Bahamas who have made outstanding contributions to the meaning of the idea of volunteerism. Fellow Bahamians, in the words of our national anthem, we pledge ourselves through love and unity. Therefore, during this month, we call for rededication to the service of our fellow citizens by volunteering our time, our talent, and treasures toward the upbuilding of our nation. May God continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you.
The proceeding was a message by His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Cornelius A. Smith, Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.